Calling all you ambitious, overachieving, bossy, I can do it all. Don't bother me, I got this. Type A women, this podcast series, Healing the Hustle, is for you. Hey there, it's Jessica Butts, Front Seat Life all the way, same butt-kicky lady, just in a new chapter, and I'm so excited you're here. We're going to take a journey of healing the hustle as we are more than a year into a global pandemic, and let's be honest, we have all changed. It is time to acknowledge that, accept it, and start a new era of being our best selves without killing ourselves by getting off of the hamster wheel. We can still be our same awesome, ambitious, kick-ass selves while not buying into the BS of the hustle. I have found a new way, and I can't wait to share it with you. So let's start healing the hustle. Welcome back, everybody, to the Front Seat Life podcast. This is your host, Jessica Butts, and we are on episode 3 of the Healing the Hustle series, and I'm so excited today. I have had a little bit too much coffee, so this is going to be quite an episode. It is also beautiful in Seattle, Washington. It is sunny and gorgeous, and as I've said for years, I feel like sun is an energy credit. We just, just get more energy just from the sun shining, and it's just stunningly beautiful. I'm looking out my window. So between coffee and being excited about this content and the sunshine, this is going to be quite an episode. I did my test singing, and now here I am singing again. So good golly. Sorry, you guys are in for it. Don't do stuff you suck at. One of those things would absolutely be singing for me. Everyone has gifts. It is most certainly not my gift. In fact, my sister, my mom, and I all have just the worst voices ever. And when we were younger, my sister and I would be so embarrassed in church because my mom would just sing to Jesus. And wow, I mean, when you're 12, that was super embarrassing. Wow. All right. We're already off topic and we're 1 minute in. Great. Okay. Let's see if I can hunker down here. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So the last couple of episodes have really been the introduction to Healing the Hustle, a little bit of just the history of what's going on in the world, the pandemic, some redefining success, what's important to you, your rocks, just all of the things going on in the world that would somewhat contribute to this. Today's episode, and at least the next 2, possibly 3 episodes, are going to be about why we are hustling. Why we are hustling. And the way that I am packaging this up are in 2 ways, nature and nurture. This is, the therapist hat in me and the coach hat, all of the hats really coming with the nature and the nurture piece of hustling. And there are reasons in the world why we are being forced to hustle. Forced might be a strong word, but quite honestly, we are being encouraged. That might be a better way to put it. We are being encouraged to hustle, but there's also the main reason, in my opinion, is the nature piece, which is innately who we are. As you guys all know, my jam is Myers-Briggs. I'm an expert in this. My first 2 books are about this, and Healing the Hustle is absolutely part of innately who we are. For those of us kind of ambitious, overachieving, go-getter types, we look at some of those other people, right? And we think, my God, I wish I could be more like that. Like, why can you just be so calm? And why are you just able to go with the flow? And why are you not worried all the time? And why are you not doing 57 different things? And why do you have this mindset that you just think things will get figured out? I mean, can I get an amen? I have people like that in my life, and I'm always like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why aren't you worried? Why aren't you stressed out? Why aren't you trying to manage and control everything? I have so many people in my life like this, and I love them so much, and I just want to strangle them because, quite honestly, I'm just jealous. I'm just jealous of their ability to really take kind of life as it unfolds and go with the flow, and they're not trying to just manage and control things so much. So there is definitely a personality type, meaning we are born into this world with this type. And therefore, again, this is why this is named Healing the Hustle, not Heal the Hustle. Because this is innate in us, this is always something we are going to work on because we do not change. We do not change. Yes, we can evolve. Yes, we can work on ourselves. Yes, I can tattoo the word be on my arm and stare at it every single day, but that is not my preferred way of being, nor is it yours if you are one of these types who need to learn how to heal the hustle. So today is about having an awareness. I'm going to teach you something about type that you may not have fully digested yet. And I want you to give yourself a break as we walk through this, because this is a very delicate balance between this is being unapologetically who you are, right? That's my whole tagline. I want us to be unapologetically who we are, and I don't want it to ruin our lives. And so the personality type that I am, and many of my listeners, we have this type, and there's 3 different sections of it, and I actually have 2/3 of it. And so one of the 3 will make you hustle. 2 of the 3 obviously will make you hustle even more. And if you are 3 of the 3, you need to hire me because I would love to help. In fact, last night I just did a wonderful presentation to the New England NAPO chapter, the organizational group over there. And one of the women afterwards messaged me and was like, please, dear God, tell me you're taking private clients because I need some help so bad. So I just said, I would be honored. So let's jump into this. And I want to tell a story, and we'll see if James, my podcast editor, has some fun with this. And it is what I call the bucket story.
There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, a hole.
Well then fix it, dear Willie, dear Willie, dear Willie, then fix it, dear Willie, the hole.
With what shall I fix it? Dear Liza, with what shall I fix it? Dear Liza, with what?
With straw then, dear Willie, dear Willie, dear Willie, with straw.
Back in graduate school, we were told this story about filling your bucket. So that's, of course, where you can't hear filling the bucket without, dear Liza, there's a hole in my bucket. Dear Liza, right? The bucket story is, I want everybody to imagine a bucket, and there is a hole in your bucket. And everybody has a different size hole. And that comes from trauma, that comes from hurt, that comes from people telling you you're not smart enough. It comes from people telling you that your personality type is wrong, or you should be an accountant, or you can't make any money being a yoga person or writing books or blah, 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 right? It's all the stuff that pokes holes in our reality, in our existence in this world. And this is everywhere. It's outside of us. It's in our own mindset. It comes from our parents. It comes from our own self-talk. It comes from Instagram. It's everywhere. It's literally everywhere, poking holes in our bucket. And so some people don't even have a hole in their bucket. It may just be, there's so many holes in it, there's just no bottom. And some people have done therapy and done work on themselves and set boundaries and do a lot of the things that I'm going to teach you in the book and then in this podcast and in the summer school program coming up on May 10th. All of these tools help you repair the hole in your bucket. Because what we do as humans is we go looking externally for things to fill our bucket. So let's imagine you've got a quarter size hole in the bottom of your bucket. And instead of fixing that hole, meaning getting a coach, going to therapy, hanging out with like-minded people, spending time by yourself, all the things I'm going to teach you, we go outside. We go to Instagram, we go compare ourselves, we go shopping, we buy more stuff, we get a bigger house, we eat, we drink, we do drugs, we are busy, we hustle, we overdo everything, or we underdo. We might sleep or whatever, but we always, I guess sleep would be a good thing, so scratch that. We go outside of ourselves, the bucket being ourselves. We go externally. Oh, these new jeans are going to fill me up, or this new mug, or over busying myself, or whatever the thing is, right? This, sleeve of Thin Mints, which, I love, or this food, or you're getting the point. This bottle of wine, this cocaine, this whatever the thing is going to make me feel better. This could be self-harm. And I think we all know at this point that shit doesn't work long term. It definitely feels good in the moment. And what happens is it is putting water into the bucket. So I go to Target, I buy a bunch of crap, and it fills my bucket momentarily. But of course, reminding you, there's a quarter size hole in the bottom of my bucket. So I may momentarily fill my bucket if I put a bunch of stuff in there, but until I fill that bucket, it's just going to be empty before I know it. It's going to be empty in just a few minutes. And if there's no bottom in your bucket, that is going to be even less filling. And the smaller that hole, which everyone has a hole in the bottom of their bucket, but it might just be a pin drop or a dime or smaller. Then when we go do those kinds of things, yes, they fill us up, but we are also filling our own bucket by fixing the hole. And we are not to the fixing the hole part yet. That is section 2 and 3 coming up. But today and the next couple of episodes is what I'm calling 2 things. Number 1, why we are hustling, and identifying the hole in your bucket. So this isn't even about the external stuff yet, or how to fix the hole. It's identifying the hole in your bucket. Okay. So let's start by talking about personality type. Again, this is the nature piece. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that type is innate. Yes, there's life circumstances that affect it. Yes, we can be more evolved or not less evolved, more evolved, change our strength of our preference, but our type does not change. So there are 3 of the 4 dichotomies that factor into the hustle. So it's the second dichotomy, which is sensing and intuition. Number 3, the third dichotomy, is the thinking and feeling. And it's the 4th dichotomy, which is judging and perceiving. So let's start with the sensing and intuition. Sensing and intuition absolutely ties into the hustle. And it primarily comes from the intuitives, the N's. So sensors, as a reminder, are really great at living in the here and the now. let me just say this too, right? There's a strength of preference and none of this is 100% true. There are factors and facets and a strength of preference for type. So there can be extremes on this and then there can be very slight preferences on this. So this is not 100% like black and white. This is gray. Okay. So sensors are people who live in the here and now. Therefore, they are much less likely to have this hustle mentality that intuitives have, because intuitives are always thinking about what's next. They have a very hard time actually being in the here and now. This is why meditation is so important for everybody, but especially intuitives, because intuitives' brains are not wired to be in the here and the now like sensors are. This is why sensors are really great with routine. This is why they're great with the 9 to 5. This is why they can get up and kind of do the same thing every day and eat the same thing and do their 9 to 5, and they're fine with it. And us intuitives are like, what's wrong with me? I mean, I spent a huge part of my life thinking, what is wrong with me? Because I grew up in an S family and then I married an S and then I went into corporate America and I felt like an alien. I truly felt like an alien because I always had this, what's next? What about? Where am I going next? I'm actually in a phase of my life right now with this of looking at, okay, what's next? And my family somewhat thinks I'm crazy. I think they love me and they know me now, but we're just very different that way. And so sensors, again, they don't have as much of a hustle mentality because they're so much more comfortable living in the present moment. I've called being an intuitive a blessing and a curse for 10 years. Probably longer than that. And this is why. Because it's a blessing, because it absolutely helps us think about what's next. Where are we going? Personal development. Let me read the books. Where can I take my business? How can I better my marriage? How can I better myself? How can I better my family? How can I better the world? I mean, that's a lot of pressure, right? And this is what intuitives live with every single day of their lives. They are constantly thinking about what's next? What can I do better? How can I better everything? The curse part is exactly what this episode is about, is that perpetuates the hustle. Can I get an amen? That wanting, needing, right? It's good. It's a good thing. And it's kind of ruining our lives. So this is why I've been calling this a blessing and a curse for so many years, and why this is part of the hustle. We were built this way for a reason. I absolutely believe wholeheartedly, 100%, that we all have a gift in this world, and ends have a specific gift. And that is to typically start your own business, think outside the box, be into personal development, change the world, those, that kind of stuff. We're only 25% of the population. So understanding this about ourselves is really, really, really critical as to this is the part of the hustle. And again, this is only 1/3. There's 2 more of these. So if you're an intuitive, you likely innately, nature has given you a hustle gene. You straight up innately have a hustle gene just by being an intuitive type. And it makes us different and unique and awesome and special as only 25% of the population. And we're all unique and awesome and special, by the way. But this part of us, we have to be aware, and we've got to learn how to balance this. So this is coming from experience. Again, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass and pretending I've got this all figured out and talking at you. Hopefully I'm talking with you by telling you like this shit has been ruining my life. It's also made me very happy, very successful. I've had a lot of fun, and I've been in this cycle 100% for 10 straight years. And now at 47, going through perimenopause, going through COVID as we all did, changing, reevaluating, and realizing that I've known this about type, but I thought I've got to educate people a little bit further on why innately this is part of our hustle. And then again, in coming episodes, right? I can't do all of this in one episode, is going to be how we start healing that. And the good news is, so I think this is some of the bad news, but it's also awesome. I mean, our intuitiveness is absolutely awesome. Again, blessing and a curse. And our intuition is also going to be one of our greatest guides as we move forward. And, a little hint as to what's coming is it's obviously not outside of us. So this, the thing about the bucket, having it be outside of us and us going and looking external for the answers. Us intuitive types, which I would say probably 90% of my listeners are intuitive types, our answers are within. Our answers are within the bucket. Our answers come from fixing this hole in our buckets. Period. End of story. Okay. Next. I can't wait to do summer school with you guys because now we can talk about it, right? It's so hard to end on that and be like, okay, well, that's it. I want to hear from you. I want to talk about it. I want to give you some homework. So again, for anybody who's interested, I'm going to be doing the summer school, Healing the Hustle. It's going to be opening on May 10th. More information coming soon, but obviously follow me on Instagram. Make sure you're on my email list to make sure that you get first dibs sign up. I'm going to have a bring a friend special, but those are the things that are hard. I get done, then I'm like, wow, that was a lot of information to drop. And I'm not even talking to you guys. So hopefully we can do that in the near future. All right, let's go on to the second, but the third dichotomy, which is thinking and feeling. So this is a real big one, for the thinking women or those that identify as women, because thinking women have what is considered more masculine energy. So I want to be very clear about this. Gender aside, all of us humans, just consider us all theys. Every one of us has masculine and feminine energy, period. It has nothing to do with our gender. Nothing. Society absolutely influences that by telling women or females or people who identify as females that we are supposed to be, air quotes, more feminine, whatever that means. And men or people who identify as males are supposed to be more, air quotes, masculine. But gender aside, we are all theys. Thinking people have more masculine energy. Feeling people have more feminine energy. So this is the, again, second of the three. So if you identify as a thinker or you show up on the Myers-Briggs as a thinker, especially a thinking woman, I guess it doesn't really matter. Again, just gender aside, thinkers have more masculine energy. They are logical. They make decisions with their heads. They sometimes come off as curt or short or impersonal. Then feelers have this softer, more feminine energy. We are also going to talk about masculine and feminine energy with the J and the P, but this is a half of the masculine and feminine energy and a third of what we're talking about in general about the nature versus nurture. So again, if you are an N and a T, you are 2/3 more into the hustle. And again, that is because the hustle is more about this masculine, pushy, dominant energy, and thinkers, no matter what your gender is, have more of that than feelers. Although, feelers can certainly have that, but just a little bit less. So that's actually all I'm going to say about that one, because the next one is actually so much more fascinating. Okay. So let's jump into the J and the P. So this is the last dichotomy. This is all about how we like to be orientated in the world. So this is how we like the world to be organized and how we like to be organized in the world. So J's, not surprisingly, are organized, decisive decision makers. Get out of my way. I got shit to do. I definitely, again, gender aside, absolutely have more masculine energy. J's are the ones that there is a certain way to get somewhere. There's a certain way to load the dishwasher. Am I right? That you're on time, you're bossy, you're controlling. I need it to be done this way. We have very high expectations of ourselves and other people. We are very dominant kinds of people. I mean, right? So if you're following along carefully, an N and a T and a J. But again, I'm an ENFJ, and I absolutely 1,000,000% am still in this category. Let me be clear. If you even have one of these, you have some hustle. But if you have two of these, you certainly still have it. Because again, I have 2/3 of these. I'm an N and a J. And that NJ is the archetype, is the entrepreneur. And so there is just the NJ together, regardless of the thinker, is pushing. And what's next? And where are we going? And get out of my way. And I've got blinders on, and there's a certain way to do things. And, spouse or partner, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. Because when the world is not organized around us, we get real freaked out. Right? Can I get an amen? We get real freaked out, because if you are not, on time for this, and you are not organized over here, and the dishwasher isn't done, and this isn't picked up, and you haven't picked up the kid, and you haven't done this, and you haven't done this, we get real bitchy, real demanding, and real bossy. Clearly, that is more masculine energy. And this comes out in the form of hustling. And it's exhausting. And it's very difficult for people around us. It's difficult for our partners. It's difficult for our kids. It's difficult for everyone around us. And I hate when I cry, because then my nose runs. It's difficult for us. The internal anxiety, the internal angst that comes from trying to control every godforsaken thing in our life is exhausting. Yet, this is what we're doing. We are trying to control other people. We are trying to control people on driving. We are trying to control our spouses. We are trying to control our clients. We are trying to control COVID. We are trying to control how people are treating the pandemic, whether they're doing this or that or whatever. And at some point, we've got to let some shit go. We've got to learn how to not sweat the small stuff. That book from the 80s. We've got to learn to pick our battles. We've got to learn to calm the fuck down and decide what is worth it. We've got to learn how to slow our central nervous system. We've got to learn how to meditate and calm down. We've got to learn how to communicate better. We've got to learn how to calm all of that mind chatter and energy chatter and body chatter down. Because the P's, they are those friends that I was talking about earlier that just are like, so undaunted by things, and they just kind of go with the flow. And, again, they say one of my least favorite sayings, and yet I wish I could live like this, is, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. That causes so much anxiety in J's. And yet we have got to learn to embrace some of that, because again, our need to control as J's is part of the hustle, and it's ruining our lives. Wow. Okay. That was a lot. I feel like that was very, very heavy. The J's are obviously own more of this masculine energy, in charge, walking fast. I gotta go. This is what's happening. I need you to be over here. Blah, blah, blah. It's very bossy. And then obviously the P energy is much more feminine. Just go with the flow. Don't worry about it. Okay. So I feel like there's a couple other things that I could probably talk about. I'm going to end here is that being in control feels safe for all of the types that I just described, especially the thinkers and especially the J's. So the intuitive absolutely ties into this, but more than anything, the J's feeling in control feels safe. So we try to control everything around us so we can feel safe. And what I'd like to talk to you about in coming episodes and in the book and in summer school are ways to feel in control inside. Because what we cannot control are things outside of us. Or we try to, and it not only makes us crazy, but it makes everybody else crazy, right? Trying to control the PTA or the neighborhood or the COVID or other people and what they're doing about the pandemic or our businesses or social media or our spouses, all the things we try to control, our neighbors, the traffic, whatever. We're going to make ourselves crazy. We're going to make ourselves crazy. We are making ourselves crazy. And that is the hustle. That is the hustle. So part of healing the hustle is going to be, number one, what we're doing today, identifying the nature piece of this and being unapologetically who we are. This is why I'm so passionate about type, is because people spend a lot of time asking, but why, but why, but why, but why? This is the why. This is the why. And I have to say, I think this is lovingly one of the frustrations for people is there's a lot of coaches out there that will talk about, the solution, but they don't talk about why. They don't understand the why. And in my opinion, nature and nurture combined is the why. So we get to learn this about ourselves, have new awareness, have this unbelievable information about ourselves, and then learn how to navigate it better versus just going to the solution, because the solutions don't effing work if you don't know the why. But I will also say you can't just stay stuck in the why. I mean, this is why I, do a hybrid of therapy and coaching, is because you don't just need to know the why. You got to actually do something about it. So the nature and nurture piece is the why, which we'll talk more about. The patriarchy. I shouldn't laugh, but there's so much there. The patriarchy, the world that we live in that's built off of white men and all of the stuff going on with that in our country and around the world. That is a huge, huge, huge part of the hustle. But today is about this nature piece of the hustle. So we will continue to talk about why this is, and then how, my friends, we are going to start going internal. We are identifying the hole in the bucket, why you are hustling, and then we need to heal that hole. We need to fix the hole in the bucket. All right. Wow. That feels real good. And I'm very curious how you're feeling. This is why podcasts are super fun, but I'm also like, I would love to be on a Zoom call with you right now and be looking at your face and unmute you and say, tell me how you're feeling. What's going on with you? So again, stay tuned for that. It's coming out May 10th. And I hope you love this episode. I hope you'll go over to iTunes and leave me a 5-star review and some comments about what you think about this. Send me some messages on Instagram if you'd like. Obviously, follow me over there. And if you share this, I'd love that too, right? This is about getting this word out about how we can be unapologetically who we are, how we can understand ourselves further. Your partner in life may very well need to hear this and understand and you may be having an aha. You might be in your car crying right now. You might be at the gym crying of like, oh my God, this is why I'm such an uptight bitch. And this is why I have such a need to control. And I'd love to be able to explain this to my partner. They may need to hear this as well so that you can start healing this hustle. All right, loves, I will see you guys next week. Bye. Thanks for listening. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, you can find out all about that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.